Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So today I actually wanted to make a little video on how to actually communicate with your twin during separation. If, we talk about not reaching out in the 3D via phone call, text, and really just focusing on your own self, then how do you really get by those hard moments when you've been in a very long separation, you're doing the inner work? What is the recommended way of actually doing a reach out to your twin? So this video is dedicated to helping you with that if this is your situation. So what we're really talking about in terms of reaching out to your twin is really telepathic communication. Now, this is very different than when you are actually thinking and obsessing about your twin. And so, it's very important to really understand the difference between these two before you even engage in telepathic communication. Now, a couple of things to remember. If you are new to this journey, if you are a new twin flame, you're just trying to figure things out, telepathic communication is probably a little bit of a newer concept to you and trying to really understand what this is all about. If it's happening with you naturally in terms of you picking up on their emotions, their feelings, that's great. But in terms of you actually trying to send them messages, what you think is telepathically, you have to be careful, because if you are just, in the 3D walking around or sitting around and saying, let me think about my twin, that is very different than telepathic communication. And the reason why it's very important to understand the difference is because if you are just sending your twin mental energy, especially if you're the chaser in the connection, you are just pushing them away and repelling them even further. Because when you send that mental energy their way, they feel a whole lot of, overwhelm of feelings, especially when you're new on the twin flame journey. And so really getting clear on what it is that you are trying to do here is very important. The second thing you really want to be clear on as you attempt telepathic communication with your twin is, why do you really want to do this reach out? If this is coming from a place of you being obsessed, you being desperate, or, just simply really, really missing your twin, you want to really think that again. You really want to redirect that focus back onto yourself, because that is where the growth really happens on this journey. This is meant to be a solo journey. And again, union with your twin is just something that comes out once you have gone through that self-transformation and self-growth. So really, really ask yourself the motive, because if you are coming from a place of, lack, being insufficient, really, desperate for them in a needy sort of a situation, then it is probably not the best thing for you at this time. However, if, you are wanting to reach out because, let's say you've come to know that there's something significant happening in their life and you just kind of wanted to wish them, instead of doing a 3D reach out, by call, text, and verbal communication, or showing up in person, this is probably the best way to go. Wondering, how can I actually go about implementing this? Well, the way to communicate with your twin telepathically is via meditation. Now, there's a difference between those that are just beginning on their meditation journey versus those that are actually, have been doing this for quite some time. So what you really want to get clear on as you sit in meditation is your mind still? Are you able to be in the present as you're doing that? Canceling out all the noise of the world. When you are in that complete stillness is when you should be attempting that reach out. And really just that simple communication of whatever it is, that good vibration that you want to send your twin, you can do that during this stage in your meditation. As I was mentioning, if you're new to the journey, this might be a little difficult for you, versus those that have actually been really putting in the work in their meditation, have reached the stillness state. You will find it very easy to be able to communicate with your twin this way. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this was helpful. God bless.